Hi everyone, welcome back to Selling St. Louis. This is another episode of Questions with Chloe. Let's get started.
How long does it take to buy a home?
When buying a home, it's going to be different for everybody. There is really no standard time frame, timeline that everybody's going to have, and I don't really like to give a specific number for each person. Factors that can play into this are how you're financing it. Are you going the cash route? Are you going the loan route? Have you saved up enough money? Who are you using as a lender? Those are kind of the things you're looking for. I will say also the type of market you're in will be factored into that. If it's more of a buyer's market, if it's more of a seller's market, and if you're working with an agent that knows how to work through both of those types of markets. So to start off, I will put my buyers in touch with a really great lender. I have a ton of lenders that I trust to take good care of my buyers. And what they will do is go over those things I just mentioned. Your financing, how that's gonna work, what your timeline looks like, and they will kind of take the more financial dive into all of that with you, go over things, make sure your savings are up, if you're in a good place to make a down payment, earnest money, the whole shebang. So once everything's good to go with that, that lender will communicate with me on what the timeline should look like and what will be best for you. One thing I also want to note is it does make a difference if you have to sell your current home or if you're renting currently, what that looks like. You don't want to have to break a lease, pay extra money, and then go buy a new home. There's just a lot of other factors. So you want to get all of those straightened out, and that's something I would help you with as well as your lender. Once we get the green light from the lender or once we figure out your timeline, we will get to looking. Now, some buyers are more picky and some are less picky, but this doesn't really matter if you're working with a good real estate agent. I like to say that I try to find my buyers a home within a month. Now, some of them do want to take more time and that's totally fine, but I haven't had a hard time finding my buyers a home in longer than a month, whether they're picky or not. If you are picky, it is going to take a little longer, but don't worry about that. We'll find you your home, and once we get looking and it's very obvious where you want to be, it'll be very obvious that that is the home you want to be in that specific area. So once we do that, we'll get you under contract, and there's a lot of things that, are factored into that whole situation. Some factors to consider when we are ready to make that offer. If you are getting a loan and they would prefer that you have a minimum of 30 days, that will definitely play into the whole process. But if they can get you closed in around 12 days or so, and that's what you would like, we can absolutely make that work. That will obviously shorten the process, which does add a little bit of stress, but if that's the time frame you want to work in, we can do that. Now, I do want to point out that in a seller's market similar to the COVID market that we just had in the last few years, everything kind of played out to the seller's benefit more. So if the seller wanted to close in 2 months and you really wanted that house, you would make it work. If the seller wanted to close in 15 days, we would have to press the lender to see if we could even make that work at all. So again, that does affect your timeline and does affect how long it takes to buy a house. If you are interested in what the difference is between a seller's and buyer's market, we do have another video on that, and we'll have that here in the comments if you want to go check it out. Another thing, once we are under contract, there are a standard set of contingencies that are on a standard contract. Again, a lot of these did get waived during the COVID market that we saw because it was a seller's market. So when there are less contingencies, it can speed up the process a little bit more. With inspections, inspection resolution, negotiating, all of that, it can take 20 days or so around that. And then making sure you get the appraisal back and everything's good there, that does add time on to the whole process as well. So that's something to consider too. So like I said, there really is no true timeline. Everybody's timeline is different. You might even have a different timeline buying your second home than when you bought your first home, and it can depend on the market, your financial situation, what your lender recommends, and how picky or not picky that you would like to be. If you guys have any questions about this or anything else, be sure to leave them in the comments and I would love to answer them for you or get back to you. And if you are interested in buying or selling a home in the St. Louis area or surrounding areas, I would love to help you as well. So shoot me a message and I'll be there to help. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Questions with Chloe. We will see you on the next episode.